more. Okay, so while we are waiting to go live and all
We are
that,
there.
to the panelists of today, you all see yourselves on the screen. Today, okay, why don't we just start, Madhu, right?
Yeah, we are online. We can start.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the 12th panel discussion of DFOT. This is our way to ruin your Sunday afternoons every 2 or 3 weeks. Or in some cases, like today, we are ruining somebody's early morning sleep. Today's session is a slightly different one for us. In the last 11 meetings, we've been talking about the problems of online teaching. And that's how we all started in this business of trying to talk to each other about the issues that we are having regarding online teaching. But we've exhausted most of these issues. And in the process, I think we've also exhausted ourselves. Meaning that, there is fatigue. If students have fatigue with classes and so on, I think all of us also have fatigue, but the problems haven't gone away. The problems are still there. The problems that we started with about a year ago have somehow not been magically resolved. We still don't know how to give examinations online. We don't know what to do about poor bandwidth. We don't know how our administration is going to view attendance. We don't know when we are going to do labs. Research has taken a back burner on most people's agenda. And quite honestly, we don't quite know what we are going to do with that, etc., etc., etc. All right. But we've also learned quite a bit. We've learned how to cope with online teaching in a way which prior to the pandemic, we had not. When people talk about the new normal, and it is one of those phrases that I'm sure, like me, all of you heartily detest. There is nothing new and nothing normal about whatever this new normal is. But the new normal, such as it will have a slightly different world. I mean, at a very trivial level, wearing people walking around wearing masks is not going to be as odd as it used to be in the past. Okay, but that actually underlies or bespeaks of a deeper change that is happening in society. We will consider communicating uh, to computer screens to be not such a bad thing after all. When I started, or when Madhu and I started with DFOT, we were kind of awkward, and we were not very familiar with going online and so on. And while DFOT is not at all viral and it hasn't gone, if we get 2-digit viewers, we are quite happy about it. But I think to a large extent, I'm quite comfortable talking to a flat screen. Right? Sometimes I wonder whether I'm going to ever feel normal, seeing people in reality. But that's just another. The point that I'm trying to make is that our world has changed in a significant way, and we have learned a lot about education in the past year, about the ways in which we have had to adapt and modify. Has it been all bad? There's certainly been a lot of bad things. The lack of bandwidth, for example, has been bad. The lack of facial cues and ability to see each other has been bad. The reduction of size has been also particularly bad, meaning that the human-sized interaction has been reduced to a 2-inch screen for most people, because most students do access us through cell phones. And this has been very bad for people with hearing disabilities, for example. So, I mean, there's been a range of issues that we have looked at. What we thought we'd do today for the 12th of our meetings And quite honestly, I don't know how many more we will have, because it seems pointless to just have something and then go on, because it's the same ground that's going to get covered over again. I'm not saying that we're going to wind down, but maybe we'll come back with reduced frequency. I don't know about that. But many of you have in correspondence with me or with Madhurima, or in sort of in conversation, have actually pointed out some positives that have emerged in the last year. So let me just sort of very briefly give the broad brush strokes of what the positives are. So for one thing, the outreach of an online class, just the geographical outreach, is, because it is going via the internet, much, much larger. It's much wider. It covers a bigger area. And there are some who can see advantages in that. The asynchronicity of the online world, that our lectures get recorded and can be delivered at any point in time, that is an advantage, because if you missed a class or if you cut a class, that was the end of it in the old days. But now you don't actually have to cut any class. You can attend a class later on, or at least you can tell your teacher that you'll be taking his or her class later on, and what you choose to do then is, of course, your own choice there. So the point is that the asynchronicity, the geographical outreach, um, the slight reduction in the amount of teaching. Everyone has taught less, and which has been a good thing. There are many, many such positives. People who were not able to speak out in a physical classroom have found it possible to speak in the online class, because of a certain kind of anonymity that they might have had. And this has been a huge change, especially for disadvantaged groups, gender, etc. These have all had a positive impact. So in today's panel discussion, what we'd like to do is to try to focus on what have we learned because of this pandemic, what can we hope to carry on with what we have learned as we go ahead. And for that, today, let me just sort of briefly introduce the overall panel. We talk in terms of online delivery, and we've had this mode of distance education for a very long time. And IGNOU is one of the biggest, it's the biggest university in the world, right? Because of in terms of the number of people it reaches. How does the move online affect standard distance education? We have Professor Uma Kanjilal, who's is in library science department there, but she is right now the head of the Center for Online Education. Similarly, now for education, and we are talking about access all over the country. So today we have Professor Vimal Kishor, the Dean of the School of Education at from the Central University of Jharkhand. Again, he brings to us the perspective from the hinterland. So how this might impact education in remote areas is an important consideration. We have Professor Raksha Singh, who's the principal of the Shankaracharya Mahavidyalaya in Bhilai. She's not yet joined us, but I hope she will be here with us soon.
She has.
Oh, she has joined. Welcome, Professor Raksha Singh. We have Professor Saroj Nayak, who is from the School of Basic Sciences at the IIT Bhubaneswar. And he will talk about some of the positives that could come because of this realization that everything does not have to be centrally connected. We also have a student perspective, Rishikaa Sajeev from Mount Carmel College, Bangalore. She is a student of BA History, Economics and Political Science. And she'll be speaking to us about what some of the positives have been from her perspective. And finally, an old friend, an old classmate, and actually somebody who very early on started talking about the possibilities of online education having a very major impact in India of the future. Sudhin Dutta, who is the president of an organization in Houston, I hesitate to pronounce it, but Sudhin has recently retired from a long career in American industry. He was educated in India and in the US, so he has some uh, rather in-depth knowledge of both the Indian and the US educational system, and he has an interesting perspective on what online education can do to India. So this, in short, is the reason for our online discussion today on the silver linings of this pandemic. And the rules of the game are, as usual, each of the panelists will speak for about 10 to 12 minutes. And after that, we will have a moderated question and answer session. And hopefully we can take it from there. So let me start by requesting Professor Kanjilal. Ma'am, would you come on and yeah, so your 10 minutes starts now.
Yeah, thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to thank DAO for inviting me for this panel discussion. So I'll just quickly, I'll share my presentation. Just give me a moment. What I plan to do is actually I will be sharing my experience from the IGNOU perspective, that what we have been doing, and then come on to exactly why, what are the advantages that are there. So if you look into, actually, we started our online education initiatives in the form of virtual campus way back in 1999. There were a lot of issues there, but still it was done. But basically that time we were not practically ready. We started with our BCA and MCA program, and it was a very simple platform with just simply downloading, allowing the learners to download the zip files or have access to the HTML files. Assignments were available online. They could submit through email, and some kind of a support through teleconference where we synchronously we could reach out to them. And what happened was this was not successful. It had to be abandoned because the learners were not ready for that kind of a platform, and we moved on. The students were moved on to the traditional online ODL mode. The second attempt was this RR online program that was in 2001. It used a learning management system that developed in-house, a very basic LMS in fact. And this was the first time that we developed a course for a social sciences, providing it online with some basic facilities like course content made available online, discussion forum, chat, assignments, online quiz, online library, and online diary, and some basic facilities that were there. But the numbers were not large, so we had to abandon this program also. Our actual attempt towards online education started way back in 2008, and this is where actually our success story started. We called it virtual classrooms, and we had in fact run 27 online programs through the platform that we developed in house again. uh, and we had somewhere around 5,000 plus enrollment, and it was across disciplines. We were offering courses, the basic feature. And apart from that in-house platform, we also used Moodle LMS. It was just a platform which had right from registration to certification, all activities happening online. And it was in a real sense that we talked about that we had the online interactions in the form of web conferencing happening using Adobe Connect kind of a thing, 24 by 7 learner support, assignments, examination. We had a complete automated systems in place. Even the project submission was online, and we were successfully in fact running that. But we had to in 2014 we were given a directive from UGC that till you have, we have national level policy for online education, the universities cannot continue with the online programs or online examination system that are there. And in fact, that was somewhere around 2012, even we experimented with proctor examination that we are talking now these days when this pandemic happened. And it was again a success story. We had students spread out all throughout the world, and different sets of question papers were delivered different time span, and in fact it was successfully conducted. In fact, we were able to also do, catch some unfair means also. And this was again a facility just basically using the Adobe Connect kind of a platform to go in for an on-camera examination. And this was completely done in-house, no outsourcing, nothing like that. And this was a real success story that we had. This is how we captured the students PC, captured, they were on camera, and we could, I mean successfully run this examination. After 2018, in fact, we had from 2014 onwards, all the online programs were called off. And 2018, the first time this UGC came up with the online program guidelines, in fact. And then the process of again offering the online program started. So at present, we are offering 15. And this session, we are going in for, in fact, another 2 more bachelor's degree program that are there. Apart from that, we are also running online courses on SWAM. The best part is that this is on the SWAM platform, we have the facility of credit transfer. The students who earn credits through the SWAM platform, that's transferred to the, degree diplomas that are there. The students are enrolled for. And in fact, this is also running successfully. Now, during COVID, I think we were all of a sudden, there was a lot of emphasis on online education that started. And I think the century old processes, whether we talk about the chalk and talk methods or the ODL methods also, that we were, in fact, just all the faculty had to get ready for some kind of a multi-pronged approach to reach out to our learners. And a lot of issues were there. Faculty were not available, they were not trained for the pedagogy to adopt for online education. Those are the issues that were there. But I think we have been able to make an impact overall, and that's what I feel. Some major initiatives from IGNOU side we could start during the pandemic, and this became real success stories. We had Facebook live sessions. This is the first time that using the social media, and this could maximize the reach. So we conducted during the pandemic 304 sessions, and by the numbers, sheer numbers that are there, you can see how many people were actually going through the sessions. The hits tell the story. Apart from that, we had also initiated web-enabled academic support. Faculty were directly reaching out to the learners, and it was basically using Google tools to develop a portal to provide access to the uh, online content and other and reaching out to the learners and supporting them. Another initiative that we started during the pandemic, it was the uh, podcasting series. Again, a success story by the sheer number that happened. You can see that is there. And apart from that, our traditional mode of face-to-face counseling that were conducted through our study centers, they were all converted into online mode using different platforms: Google Meet, Zoom, WebEx, whatever was available. People were using it, and even the faculty who were earlier not getting connected to the learners, to the traditional mode of reaching out, from faculty from the headquarters actually could directly interact with the learners. And this was something that create a great impact. Now, coming to the online programs that we started, we had to approach uh, um, go in for a multi-platform integration. This was required. If you look into the guidelines, in fact, that ODA online guidelines, it clearly says that your content need to be made available on Swam portal. So what we try to do is have a landing page in the form of this one IGNOU online portal, and that linked to the admissions, the Swam portal, the courses were made available, and then directly linking to the online courses that are there. So this is the platform that is there. Apart from that, for the practical courses, because you cannot run the practical courses on Swam portal, we provided the LMS facility for those on the Moodle, in fact, so customized to a great extent. Other initiatives that we started were online question paper delivery. Earlier, traditional mode of delivery was there, and gradually we are now completely moving towards that. And what we plan to do is that this platform is going to be extended further to be used for the purpose of online examination. Other problem that we faced was the assignment submission by the learners during the lockdown. Earlier they were actually submitting it on their in their study centers. They were actually, some kind of a facility had to be made so that they can submit online, and it was a real mess, in fact. So what we came up with, that we developed a assignment management system now, which actually through that you can manage everything online. And similarly, we are doing it for the project management system. Then in 2020, it could also, there was a further development. We have another notification from UGC, where we have the merge notification for ODL and online education. And in fact, this opened up the way for all the institutions, those were having a NAC rank of 3.26 and above, or in the top 100 NRF ranking, they were, permitted to go for online programs without going through the process of approval of the UGC. So this opened up a way and forward, in fact, and if you look into the guidelines, it clearly states, gives you the parameters, quality requirements that are there. So based on that, we are providing. Apart from that, we had in 2020 the new education policy, and if you look into the section 24, it also clearly states that a lot of emphasis on the online programs. So based on this, in fact, we are reviewing our processes to overhaul that online delivery of programs, trying to go in with the state-of-art online digitized processes, integrating all the facilities over the years that we developed, so that we have a single platform for delivery. Trying to rope in NTA for online examination purposes, and parallelly also developing our own platform so that we can handle that, the large number that we have to do. One major requirement is the capacity building of faculty. That already process has started, because faculty were not ready, especially when we talk about the pedagogy, and the general tendency is to emulate the traditional modes, in fact. So they need to learn, and the different processes of online delivery of courses, online examination, question paper, and setting, and all those things. So that's where the training is being provided. And we are in a big way scaling up the infrastructure. And in fact, in future, perhaps we will be gradually converting our most of our programs online, and there is a huge demand for our online programs, not only in India, but abroad also. A lot of requests are coming, and we are working are there. I think the maximizing the reach, that is the thing that it provides. Last mile connectivity is possible, because for our ODL programs, we were more dependent on the study centers, which means that though we have 3,000 study centers all over the country, but that, still the learner have to come to the centers for that the face-to-face counseling. I think if we go online, it helps us to reach out to their doors. In fact, that's the major advantages from the ODL perspective that we see. Learners learn at their own pace, place, and time. Apart from the synchronous interaction, other things are all available online, and at any time they can actually access the content. Even the online sessions are recorded, and that's made available, archived, and people can reach out. you have the possibility of multimode delivery. In fact, the success story of our Facebook, Reach Out, and other social media that we used, we're now trying to integrate that with our online platform. We also realized that the students are more participative because we had no control over what the ODL students were doing. And so but through this online mode, at least you know whether the learners are actually going through the processes. And the best part is you can use the learner analytics to learn see their learning path. In fact, that's a major advantage when you go online. And the most important thing is, I think we need to realize that this is the most cost effective way, the way we can reach out. So with this I am, thank you.
Okay.
So I'll be ready for
Thank
any
you so
questions.
much, Professor Kanjilal. You really have covered a huge range of topics over here. It's very heartening to note that IGNOU has taken the lead because, in a sense, you all were already used to not seeing your students. You were always in this open and distance learning, or the ODL method. And now the ODL method has become, it's a slightly more intimate ODL method because everyone is now online, or at least has the possibility of coming online. I think that this is a sort of what you have shown us is very, very encouraging. One note, which is a general comment, is of course, you all are inventing all these tools and techniques, which is needed by every teacher in India. But everyone will be doing it for themselves all over again. There will be 100 new ways in which that on offline evaluation will be happening. There'll be hundreds and thousands of others who are doing the whole thing. So one of the aims of DA40 really is to try to see if we can learn from each other. So don't be surprised if you get people writing to you and asking for help. And if you can give us some tools, and tips for others to be able to use, please let us know. And others also have solutions. So it would be nice if IGNOU can also see that there is a world which is making innovations and changes out there. Thank you so much. We now move to Professor Vimal Kishor from the Central University of Jharkhand. And he's a professor of education. So Vimal ji, अनम्यूट कीजिए पहले. हाँ, thank you.
So, thank you, sir. Very good afternoon to the esteemed members of DF40 and my co-panelists in today's discussion regarding this silver linings and advantages of online higher education. So, first of all, now we will discuss in detail regarding this. This in pandemic situation, the situation has created. We know that this online higher education is not that very recently we are approaching this one or doing in the field of education, but this is a very long back history of online education, as the madam first my co-panelist has discussed about the IGNOU's role in online higher education. But still, we all know that during this the last year in the March, when this pandemic has started, we expected towards our online higher education too much. And nowadays that every person and some most of the states we are using this online education for teaching our that students. And we know that this situation also taught a lot of things to be the people that how to use things, or how to use our that existing resources to make our teaching learning in a fruitful way to our students, keeping in mind, as we know that this pandemic situation was very long, and we don't know when this recently very gradually we are moving towards our offline mode. But still now this online education taught a very good lesson to us, and it is also that we have to ready for all this online education in future also. So the thing is that what are the new advantages, or the few advantages of this online education and higher education? And we have to discuss in a good way here. So the thing is that this is a new thing for all the people, for we the people here in this situation. And most of the people are not much aware of this the technology or hardware, how to use all these things. So the teachers and the students are in good thinking that how this this online teaching will start, because the online teaching is not just like, we have recorded our, that videos or that PPT we have prepared and uploaded on website and students can upload. But this is just like, we have shifted from our face-to-face teaching, just like from in the physical it is going on. Now we have a teaching through, that in one side our students are sitting and in front through Zoom or maybe Google Meet or maybe other, that platform we are using for teaching students. So we know all those, that there is a one way teaching is going on, but the students are also there. So teacher is the active, he's playing active role and students are the passive. So how to make those students are active also, and this is also there's some challenges for be the people. On the other hand, as we know that there are some also shortcomings of this online education as due to this socioeconomic status of the students and digital infrastructure backgrounds or other things, and also our that handy as we were not much that handy in this online that using softwares and hardware. So this is also one of the big challenge for we all the teachers and especially also the student side also. So the thing is that what we have done in this last 1 year or what we are how we are that using all these things. So the thing is that we have to going to discuss in this one. So first of all, when this this online teaching has started, first of all, what we did we have given orientation to our students regarding how to use Google Meet, how to use this Zoom platform, what are the different icons. Sometimes students are becoming that they are making not they are not doing their video cameras on, or they may be and they're sometimes they don't know how to unmute yourself and how to mute themselves. There's some things are there how to, and sometimes they are the internet connectivity, they are that not using this one. So slowly we have given them orientations how to use this, and now after some time they become very that familiar with this approach and they are enjoying the things. So this is also one of the things. Another one thing that we have tried on this through education, we try to what are the different technologies which are very handy or for we the people, just like what are the different apps or maybe hardware or software which we can use very frequently, or maybe those are very that helpful for we the people for teaching our students. So this is also one of the thing that we learn, and students and teachers started learning together. Actually, this is also one of the that good advantages of this online higher education. What happen in physical classroom, there is a gap between the students and teachers. Sometimes students are afraid to to come to teacher, but here in this online platform, students are that because students knows that no, this is only one way. We have to ask our teachers, and we have to know that. So this is just like that friend, philosopher, and guide. There is one philosophy term is there. So students are also they're becoming closer to we the people, and they are asking some questions, and when they have any problem sometimes, so they are also sharing their problem with we the people, and the teacher is also there is helping those students. So and another thing is the teacher is also that this on platform. So how to make our teaching effective in this online platform, this is also one of the big challenge for a teacher. So teacher has started that creating different varieties of this videos, images, just like PPT presentation, PowerPoint presentations we are making. So how to make it effective? So sometimes in education field we are teaching these students, so there is even teaching aids. So these are no teaching aids, just like PPT or that video lectures, or maybe what are the different that demonstrations we are giving in front of the students. So how we are making that a variety of the teaching aids in front of the students, this is also one big challenge. So teacher is also thinking about these things. So and the students are that learning a very big fruitful way. So they are learning, then make sure that keeping up to the course. And this teacher is also thinking that whether they are learning whatever I am teaching or not. So he is also that making checking or all those things and trying to plan in different way. This is also one of the thing for the students. Sometimes the thing is that also very helpful for we the people. The teacher is arranging different educational resources from the outside also. So sometimes what happen in the physical that it is very difficult to call a resource person or maybe other specialized person in that different the subjects. So now this online teaching is very helpful for we the people, that we can know that advantage that we can approach anybody, those who is very specialized in that particular subject, and we can request him. So he may know that come online or maybe sometime, and he can teach our students for 1 hour or 2 hour lesson. So it's very that good for the students that they are getting good resources actually in the field of the teacher. So this is very that good for we the people that in sitting in one place we are getting good resources. So another one is that teacher is not but that extra resources, not too much expectations are there from the students. No, whatever the existing resources are there, the teacher is trying to that, because in that pandemic situation is also learned, so that we can't go outside. So whatever we have to manage all the things. That is also the one big thing we learn, that in this education system and in this pandemic situation. And now the students are also that whatever they have to do with this. So this is also one of the things, that whatever the different resources are there, the students are that creating all those things. On the other hand, sometimes what happen with the people, sometimes that to whom we have to ask when we are not that very familiar with this and this technology or other things. So we have started to discuss with our colleagues. So there is also that now the colleague relationship is also that too much becomes cordial. Now we are asking, we are not hesitating towards asking anything. Sometimes we don't ask any, some it is the habit of some persons. But the thing is that in this in perspective, we are not started to learn from our colleagues. We are also learning from our student side also, because sometimes the teachers are also not too much that effective in their learning. On the other hand, we are also doing too much hard work, because in a teaching in a offline mode, we are going into the classroom, we have blackboard or the things, we are much familiar, because we have that experience of teaching that way for too much long. But this online teaching is a new experience for all of us. Mostly, but the thing is that now this is new. So what we have done, we have started our extra work. Now, sometimes when we have to go to online, we have to prepare sometimes this PowerPoint presentation or maybe some things which may make our teaching effective. So teachers have also.
Another 2 minutes, Dr. Vimal Kishor. A
Yes,
minute
ma'am.
or two. Another minute or two. Yeah.
2 minutes. Okay, ma'am. Okay. So that we have started. This continuous assessment is also there. Those who are not we are doing. So continuous assessment is also going. But the thing is that in this online education system, as we know that there are three domains of learning are there: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So affective and psychomotor too much is there. We can't touch on this online line. But this cognitive domain we have touched too much, and we are doing all those things very effectively for those students. So the thing is that the other thing is that we have started recording our lectures. Sometimes now the students, when those who are not able to listen, sometimes the electricity backup is not there. So students, we have recorded our lectures, and we can send those lectures. We have sent those lectures to our students, and they are very happy with those things. That auto checkings is there for their attendance. No bunk is there in the classroom. Sometimes students are bunking their class, but there is an attendance system is there online. We can take this one. We can engage the students for inviting their feedback or other things. In this online education, we can virtually organize some science fairs or book reviews or other some competitions. We have also that regarding. And the other thing is that we have identified some students that those are struggling too much. So teachers can be connected with those students individually. So individual connection is also too much there. We have connected. Now the thing is that government has also that thinking about this that online higher educations. And if you see that just like madam has discussed in the previous her lecture, that government has in new education policy, there is a separate one section for this online digital education. So we have also now the thing is that we have to give equity digital infrastructure for all the students and the teachers. So this is also one of the big challenge for we the people right now. So the thing is that when we will give them this equity in the digital infrastructure, the students will be knows very well. Another one thing is that last I will discuss the global connectedness. Now in the one place we are here and we can globally connected with the but is going on, and we can organize different lectures or the specialized lecture for our students, and they can listen very well. On the other hand, those who are in the remote places are staying in the students. Is it so? It's very difficult for them sometimes to go online or so to come in the cities or to attend their lessons, or maybe because there is some social status that also related to the students. But in this online higher education is also very that fruitful for those students in the remote areas. They can sit there, but the thing is that we have to make them digitally strong, all those things which have the government side, but the government is also thinking about these things. So the thing is that students are also learning from their own pace, just like that it is also cost effective, and it is gives the students that understanding their own personal learning style. This is also one of the things when I have to learn in this online education, in the morning or in the evening, and how I will learn. This is also one thing, which subject I have to learn first, English, mathematics, all these things depends upon the students learning style. So thank you so much for inviting me or giving me opportunity. There are so many things of this advantage of higher education, but during these 2 minutes of time, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for inviting
Thank
me.
you very much, Vimal, Kishor ji. It is nice to hear that Jharkhand is taking a lead. I hope that, because there are many rural areas or many pockets of Jharkhand where connectivity is going to be very, very limited. So I'm glad to hear that the government is going to take a lead there, and especially with the new education policy giving so much emphasis to online education. Without that, it's not going to be possible for us to deliver. You've highlighted one very important feature of the online world, which we are going to be experiencing today. That in a panel discussion on teaching in India, we can also have people from outside India at the same time. So we are able to reach out to much, much wider groups of people. But before we do that, let's thank you, Vimal. And now we move to Professor Raksha Singh, who is from the oh dear, uh,
That's
Madhu.
good, sir.
Is
From Chhattisgarh.
Shankaracharya Mahavidyalaya at Bhilai.
She's from Bhilai and from the the Shankaracharya Mahavidyalaya. Raksha ji, please go ahead.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Raksha Singh from Chhattisgarh, Bhilai. It's a steel city, and it is also known as an education hub. This is a tribal zone area. So I must say the people are not very well equipped, but due to technology, we are learning a lot. And first I express and greetings to all of you for providing me this platform to say a few words in front of you all. In regard to online teaching and learning, the world is witnessing a new unprecedented trends in the use of technology, especially in higher education. The present situation has dragged the teacher to shore of the technology ocean and applied gentle thrust to swim in this ocean of technology, induced teaching and learning. I just felt like a parent who almost throw their kids into the water so that they can learn of their own. This pandemic has shown actually this picture to us. So I can say that in spite of all bad situation, show must go on. And we all graciously accepted the situation and performed in a very good manner. Because at that time when good government imposed a nationwide lockdown to curtail the spread of the global pandemic, we all forced to stick to one place. Suddenly, things came to a standstill, but this episode equipped teaching fraternity with a new technology, and continuously we all are achieving new targets since advent of this pandemic. If anybody asks you how you consider pandemic period, I always say it equipped me to feel like student because we learned a lot at this time, understand the topic anywhere, anytime, because now we all are practicing, and even I am traveling nowadays and still interacting with you all just because of this mode. Otherwise, it would have not been possible for us to get interacted with each other, because every time we'll have to be present at that platform when we used to organize such type of program. But this pandemic has made this very clear and possible for us that across the world, we can get connected to each other. So I always feel that this pandemic has made us learn a lot. And if I compare the situation we were in when we were in offline mode, at that time, we interacted with the student in the classroom, but the experiences have always been reliant on a teacher's ability to capture and maintain the attention of their students. Unfortunately, this ideal outcome isn't always realized, and students can frequently find their attention drifting when faced with a stream of dry concept and figures. If I want to take class, I can take in live mode. And if topic is difficult and students want me to teach again, I prepare video with inserting moving clippings to make them understand in a better way. Sharing YouTube lecture, and we made our lecture very interesting. I just wanted to share one of video that how, sir, can you please allow me to share my screen?
Madhu,
Yeah, it's on. You can do it now.
Oh, sure. Thank you, ma'am. This is how we started at this place. And maybe everybody, I feel maybe everybody has did the same thing. Mm. What we feel that every, this is,
The
Madhu,
sound is not audible. I think when you share, you have to share your computer
sound is
sound
not
also.
audible, ma'am.
No, no.
Oh, just a minute. Oh,
You may have to reshare with the computer sound.
okay, just a minute. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
You can maybe stop
And
sharing and
are
reshare
you able
once with
to
the.
listen?
No.
no. Raksha ji, we can come back to this, later. Why don't you finish the?
Okay. Maybe due to some problem, I suppose. I just wanted to tell how we have included in our lectures the movie clippings so that we can make it very interesting to the students. This way, we have upgraded ourselves as well as the students find it very interesting, because even in the classroom, when we used to teach, we used to teach in a chalk talk method, and we never used to, and we used to narrate the story. But through online teaching, we were able to combine the movie clippings, advertisement, case studies, that too in a live mode, so that student can get the idea and they find that lecture is very interesting. I must say the whole fraternity of teaching has been in upgrading mode since emergence of pandemic. Jokes apart, but same like software of mobile, pandemic learners upgradation 2021. Every day I receive notification, install upgraded version. Almost whole 1 year, I realized we are doing marathon by clearing hurdles one by one, completing home course, preparing lectures, getting insights about new methodologies, upgrading my software, and dealing all things together, which earlier probably we never imagined, not in our nightmares, that things which we all encountered would have been possible for us. But finally, got the feeling of victory that now I am on the verge of completing my marathon race, which was an unplanned rapid shift. So this is what I wanted to tell, and I really wanted to share a few more videos, but I think today it is not possible, maybe because I'm traveling. And
I could suggest that you share the screen, but while you're sharing, there is something called sharing the computer's audio.
Madhu, can you, maybe we can come back to this after everyone has made the presentation.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure, sir.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Raksha. Actually, it's been very educational to hear your point of view. I agree. All of us have had to become, version 2.1 of ourselves, or the 2021 version of ourselves, in one way or the other. So, I mean, that's a nice way of putting it, that, we've all had to upgrade, and that has been a good thing. We could not do business as usual, and all teachers who did business as usual will find that their students are not able to cope, or at least not appreciate them much. And it's also very important that I think by and large, all teachers have tried very hard to see that the students get the education. In an earlier panel discussion, we have made the point that one of the most amazing things about this crisis is that as a group, teachers have come together and have responded, keeping in mind the interest of the student at heart. Okay, so our next speaker is Professor Saroj Nayak from the IIT Bhubaneswar, where Saroj is teaching in the School of Basic Sciences, and he is also importantly an entrepreneur who has been trying to see how to reach out to a large section of society in different ways. And education is going to require a certain amount of entrepreneurship in the sense of people moving and delivering material, educational material, in remote places where other things do not reach. So here to share his perspective of what are the positives from from this move online that we've had in the last year, Professor Nayak. Saroj.
Thank you, Ram. So can you hear me? Yeah. Can you allow me to share the screen?
Madhu?
Give me a second, I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you.
So about 10 minutes, Saroj.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can now.
Okay, thank you. Just give me a second. I think I'm having a little bit of issue in sharing. Just give me a second.
It also gives us a chance to explain that technological challenges span the range of educational institutes from colleges and schools to IITs and other such places. If it's going to take a little more time, Saroj, we can have Rishikaa speak first. Would you like that?
Please unmute yourself. We can't
Saroj,
hear you.
unmute yourself, Saroj. Madhu, would you just send him a message to say that
Yeah, we'll do that.
that we are switching to Rishikaa. Rishikaa,
Yeah.
are you there and available? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll come back to you, Saroj, and we'll go on to Rishikaa right now. So go ahead.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Rishikaa from Mount Carmel College. As this panel discussion was happening, I could hear different perspectives from the point of view of teachers, and I am here to speak about my perspective as a student. As we all know, there have been lots of negatives for this online education that's happening. But for me personally, I do find the positives overpowering the negatives. With the onset of pandemic, the new normal, which is the online teaching, has taken us to a whole new level, allowing us to uh, uh, experience this online platform. Okay, so for me, the benefit includes me being able to do more things. Like for example, I have done lots of online courses now. I have gone back to my dance, which is the extracurricular activity that I was doing. And I know for a fact that all of my friends, they are also also concentrating on, they're also doing what they love, because when the college was happening, when offline classes were happening, we were too tired to do anything after the classes. Now we can do more of these things, more of things that we love, more of all the extracurricular activities, online courses that we can do, that the online classes are giving us. Um, Another benefit that I see is there's no peer pressure at all. When we were in the offline classes, there were people who were speaking, there were people who were giving answers one after the other. But now with the online classes, so, like Sir said earlier, that there is an anonymity, so we are able to speak more, we are able to answer questions, we are able to indulge ourselves in debates, in healthy discussions, in question answer sessions. uh, all the subjects that I am currently studying, we have a healthy amount of discussions happening, debates happening with current affairs and all that. Whereas in offline classes, we didn't have the time to indulge in such healthy discussions, because there were time constraints. We had syllabus to cover. Uh, Here, syllabus is moving a little faster, but we are able to understand. But at the same time, we are not leaving behind all these healthy discussions. That's really necessary. And with online classes, with new technology that we are all learning, um, we have been able to hone our presentation skills, our video editing skills. For me, I personally, I'm a part of I'm part of the History Association of Mount Carmel College, and we manage our Instagram page. So for our Instagram page, we do posts, we do content making, we conduct fests, we conduct online competitions, and for all that, we are like, I have been learning new ways to edit videos, to make posts, to to create posters, which I'm sure that I wouldn't have done if it was an offline setup. And the, okay. As we all are doing online classes, I know most of us can agree on the fact that since study materials and course materials are given to us as PDFs, as Word documents, there's paperless environment happening right now, which is like really needed for us, because with all the climate change and all the pollution that's happening. So um, it becomes more affordable to us, it becomes more easy for us to access, rather than going out, taking printouts, or uh, take printouts and wasting paper, which will be used only for one semester or one exam perhaps. So this helps us understand how we can possibly do this often during our offline classes as well. um, as Uma ma'am said in the beginning, all the students can learn at their own pace. We do not have, since the lecture sessions are recorded, we can see it again and again if we don't understand one topic, or a certain part, which did not happen during the offline classes, because once you don't understand the topic in offline classes, then that's gone. Then you have to come back home, then you have to research, then see YouTube videos. But now you can understand from the teacher's mouth itself how things are happening, how about the certain topics, so the different ways a certain topics can be studied. And also, for me, the best part of online classes is when teachers show videos about the subjects. For economics, for example, our teachers show us videos, like literally show us animated videos, which keeps the interest alive. Like with online classes being a little boring, a little dull, videos here and there helps us concentrate on the class more. The diagrams being shown in a 3D way, in animated way, it helps us understand the subject a lot better. And with when we were offline classes, we used to have only internals and one end semester exam. Now there are quizzes that's being done, tests that can be done. There are websites that our teachers refer to us to go and read about it. Like we are not just sticking to the syllabus. We are reading more about it. We are reading out of the box. We are thinking about it. We are researching about it, all that. And with COVID, of course, in times like these where self-isolation, social distancing is a norm, is a new thing. Online education offers students to relive their offline classes, like relive their class experiences with all our with all the um, with our so the students are more flexible now. They don't have a, very but self-restraining routine that they have to follow. They can do multiple things. They can study as well. They can study the syllabus as well as they can do more than things. They can hone, like I said, they can hone their skills. Like I studied MS Excel this quarantine period, and I am helping out my mom in doing that. Like she's a teacher, I'm helping her out in doing in categorizing her marks. I'm helping her put out forms, like which I'm sure I was not able to do before this period, because now that I had like a lot of free period, I could edit, I could learn about MS Excel, I could learn how Google Form works. I now know how to download answer scripts and all that now. So as student perspective, it's this time was really needed for us. Online classes are really beneficial for us. Apart from academics, it also helps us in creating a routine, help us being self-disciplined, it helps us keep self-motivated. No one has to come and tell us that you have to do this, you have to do that. Because if like now no one has to come and tell me that you have to study, you have to do this, you have to do your assignments. You keep yourself motivated to do that. You want to get better at it because you have more time. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Rishikaa. I think it's it's an important point that this in the post-pandemic time, I think that we are going to realize that the job of motivating a student is not going to be the teachers. It's going to be a self. It is really going to be a self, one's own motivation that has to take you forward. But there were also other important things that we heard, that I felt that I heard from you, and that is there's a lot of time that goes in traveling to classes. Yes. And time between classes and so on, because on a typical day you don't have classes from morning to evening. You have many free periods, and what you lose out in socialization over there, you perhaps make up by being able to do new things. Hopefully, even something much more than MS Excel. You can do something, some real stuff, maybe some history projects or something on your own. But thank you for at least pointing out that it has freed you up to do new things, which may not be related to your own studies, but will certainly make you a more rounder person. And so on. So thank you very much, Rishikaa. I think Saroj is back, or rather the IIT Bhubaneswar is now back. And so right. Please go ahead and present, Saroj.
Right, okay. So let me try. I hope I am back. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, thanks again, and thanks for invitation. It's nice to hear from different perspective, of course. And let me drive into the topic that's in my view. Of course, as we have heard that online was there on different forms. We heard from IGNOU how it was there when we didn't think about the need. I came across an article very recently, one state, Michigan in US, what they have done a blended model because of the COVID. They had earlier similar to IGNOU or NPTEL, but what they realized that particularly not all the classes that we as teachers also have come across that issue, that not all the classes can fit into this online mode. So what they have done with the facilitator or mentor, they can chip in what is possible with the social distancing and so on. And one example they have showed advanced placement classes. In fact, the average score in the virtual mode is higher than in classroom. And I think one of the things that we heard from students, because the pace at which the students go in some of these classes could be intimidating. And particularly, if you look at the advanced placement classes. So if you allow that to go in a virtual mode, probably that is why it's not clear at this point, but this is the statistics, which tells you that it's more advantageous actually as compared to going in the normal mode. Of course, we have seen similar. In fact, there's a group in Mizoram, and they have done a very exhaustive study in a recent paper just after the COVID, and they took the data and they saw that the challenges that we all have been facing, but they also saw the opportunities. In fact, we all know that there are challenges, but if you can convert those challenges to our advantages. So as Ram mentioned that I'm a part of the first startup, Karma, from the IIT Bhubaneswar, which specializes in the solar technology. And we were in a peak in the COVID last year. I would say around April or so. There's a district called Raigada, which is border between Andhra and Odisha, and it's 90% belongs to tribal communities. Some of the students, they were in NIT, some in IIT, some in universities. They all were back, of course, to their hometown. And they had to face this reality, which is to attend online classes. And it's not just the computer or your cell phone; it's a power. So to make the story short, we were approached by JK Group, saying that can you really give power and make it quickly. And remember, there was no, people were not going out of the house, and the startup, about 30 people, almost all of them were out their home. Anyway, we mobilized, and not only we could provide digital access to the students who came back from different universities, including Delhi University, but also we could find some of the new students who were otherwise have been lost in terms of the access to the digital world. So what I call, those will be the lost Einstein or Bose or Lilaba's daughters are like you and me. So in a sense, it provided a opportunity for us to, lessen the digital divide. So this is where the function goes on. It's a community hall, and in fact, I believe last week the state government, visited 10 of these that we installed last year, and they want to scale up to a large numbers. And so you can see, the usual suspects, which was, like students in other university or colleges, but also unusual suspect that you see they're coming and, paying some attention. And when the classes don't go on for those students, for example, joining, so there was volunteers who came and they taught, small things to the kids. It's now apparently a regular affair, even now as we speak. So I think these are the opportunity of, I'm sure for us, we'd not have got this had the COVID. I mean, I'm not saying the COVID should have come, but the point is that, we'd not have got this opportunity had we didn't have this problem. We heard students' view. So I happen to be also Dean faculty at IIT Bhubaneswar. So with that, what happens that I get to see, we have about 65 teachers. I happen to see broadly the student feedback. And for some reason, I don't understand at this point, the student feedback for the last semester and the previous semester, half of the semester, actually was much higher compared to the offline, I mean, in-person classes. I don't understand why it is. It could be a variety of reasons, but that's what it shows, that they like it. But believe me, I mean, in fact, day before yesterday, I was teaching my electromagnetic class, and the students were saying, "Sir, we're ready to come. We have booked the tickets when we're coming." So it's not like they don't want to come, as we know that they miss many things. They miss in person. We miss them. They miss party time, right? But obviously, there are certain things that you can see. It actually is sometimes better than others, or better than the in person that we have seen. One message that I get from the students, and again, another study recently has happened, students' views of effective online teaching. And I think some of the speakers earlier pointed out, we should not always think that, okay, we just copy paste what we teach in the in-person class and just make it a video and out there. I think that will not work, that will not fly. So we have to use technology, but we have to use, it's not a one size fits all. We have to see where it is can be really more effective. There is a recent article, and a provost of Coventry University, he actually had a nice thing. He said that, look, if you want to build a building, you get money, because that's what the standard one, right? So 100 million pound, or 100 crore in IIT Bhubaneswar, as we are doing a new IIT, we get about 1,600 crore for building. But you ask 100 crore for digital one, it's not going to fly through. Of course, without tools, all the techniques are useless. In that context, I think IIT Bombay did a very innovative things very quickly, realizing the students don't have the laptops. They approached their alumni and got those resources to mobilize, so that at least you provide the tools so that it can be really meaningful. I also think the some source courses out from this problems, we should still continue online. One class that I taught before the electromagnetic class that I'm teaching now, last semester, is a computational course. And we could finish the labs. In fact, if you think about this, a computational class can be done online, everything, including the lab. And in fact, you can do many more things, and you can leverage many resources. So why should I teach a computational class in my IIT, and the similar class going on with University, or maybe going on, let's say in US? Can we leverage it? Can we cross-list it so that we offer more than one computational class and all the students to do it? And also, I think Ram was pointing out that many remote places, for example, right? So they may not have access of these classes. I understand still the digital divide, but if we can then make it even a classroom can be made in a university, but the teacher, if they don't have expertise of, let's say, computational course or any of those courses that we think will make a difference, so that will break the barrier between, let's say, the place and time. So I think that's something seriously we should think about. And finally, what I would say, online classes can join against the climate change. I mean, then you say, what? Now imagine that in all over the world, just one day in a week, we move to all online classes. So in fact, there is a study, and this came out just about a few months back in Nature Climate Change, that will reduce 70%, about 17% of your CO2 emission. No air condition, no heating beyond the what is minimum required, no cars, no bikes. So and as the student was saying, that you also get to a quality time, not all the day, just once a day. So that is something that we need to think about, as I and many of us think that the biggest challenge for the young generation is the climate change. So let's embrace online with all these things and really, through online, teach for the future. So thank you. And I'll
Thank
be
you
happy
very
to.
much, Saroj. Really, this is very nice. The spin that you put on it, that we are going online, as climate warriors. We are activists for climate change. Of course, these days it's not always clear whether being an activist for climate change is a good thing, but I think that, jokes apart, it is an important aspect that we can have this co-teaching, we can have cross-listing, but it's important also to do it. Namely, many of these ideas have been out there for a while. We do not have cross-listing between IIT Bhubaneswar and Utkal University, or your own alma mater, the BJB college. If you are interested and would like to have a cross-listing with IIT Delhi, you should make it happen. We are too good at solving problems in principle.
Right.
What we'd like to do is to solve some problems in practice. And I think that you've taught in the United States as well as you've taught in India, so you're aware of the kind of sort of the initiative that one has to take to move things forward, and pursuing this line of thought and discussion is Dr. Sudhin Dutta. Sudhin is the president of CITECASU in Houston. He is up at the ungodly hour of, 3 or 4 a.m.
3:30 in the morning, sir.
Okay, it's 3:30 in the morning, and Sudhin,
that's incredible.
As a Pravasi Bharatiya who is contributing his bit to the country. As I said in the introduction, Sudhin has experience both in India as well as in the US. He's been a student here, a student there, and he's served a lot of time in industry. And he has some ideas about where, what this can mean for the change in India's educational scene. Sudhin.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Madhurima. Thank you, Professor Ramaswamy, for this opportunity. It's wonderful to see all of you this early in the morning or early in the evening. Professor Madhurima, if you project my screen so we don't have the confusion anytime. As Professor Madhurima gets ready to project my slides, let me fill you in what we are. This is my little company I have for consultation in this in my retired life, and I'm not seeing the screen, Professor Madhurima.
Give me a second. I'm almost there.
No problem. So, as Professor Ramaswamy was saying, I graduated from India. I came out of IIT Kanpur, and then, as you will see, as the screen shows up. There we go.
No. Sorry, it's the wrong one. Give me a second. Yes.
I went to Harvard to get a PhD in chemistry. And that was a long, long time ago. I'm not going to tell you how long. I ended up going from chemistry to polymer science, and I did polymer chemistry for a long time, polymer physics. Ended up with the Charles Goodyear Medal from the rubber division of the ACS, which is one of the highest honors for a polymer scientist. I have 39 plus years of experience in polymer development applications. At one time, for a long time career, I led programs both in China and in US. So I'm very diverse. And my talk is really about distant education, really Zoom, and what we learned in the US industry and education and how it applies to India. So if you go to the next slide, and I'll do a little bit of history on this slide. When COVID hit, just like the rest of the world, we were not prepared. But we very rapidly came within about a period of 5 or 6 weeks, I would say, from going total panic to understanding what we needed to do and what this disease did. And the national imperative, and I will say the national imperative, we were very understood this was what we have to do. One, education has to continue, especially in the undergraduate, postgraduate, postdoc people who were near transition. They're ready to go out to the next phase in the career, and they were the last year of their education. And this became a national priority. You had to get the people, the students, to get the last bit of the degree work and leave. The other issue was more in my field. Academic and industrial research and development had to continue. It was a priority. The world does not stand still. A lot of products, a lot of biology, a lot of chemistry was in the field. The distance education development to advance national goals end up being very simply protect the teachers and senior staff. We realized the disease went after teachers and the senior staff very poorly, students less so. And distance education became that tool. It allowed the transfer of knowledge experience. You could teach, which is surprisingly effective, way beyond expectations. It's very efficient, very little time wasted. What we did not do very well, as we have said, is testing. The bright spot was practical training. We could observe much better than with my eyes, old eyes, observe with a laptop camera what the student was doing, whether the student was in the lab or in the next continent, which was just amazing. We could collaborate across regions and continents. The low spot, social interactions, personality, never came through. You cannot figure it out. But there was a bright spot. If you go to the next slide, yes, please. As time went on, we learned some of the technical silver linings. And the silver linings were very prominent in one of the key areas of education, technical exchange in meetings. It was a game changer. And I say it with less, it is not a trite comment. We could do distant education and distant meetings. We could go across regions and countries. We did not travel or spend time or hotels or airplanes or any other accoutrements and time-wasting things that you come to understand. We could do it outside the big organizations like the American Chemical Society or the plastics engineers or the rubber technology organizations. We could do it on our own under the aegis of these organizations. And that has become the prominent way of inter-colleague exchange. It scales. For the first time, we had a tool that scales downwards. We could have meetings with 2 to 10 participants ideally. I did not need 45 people to 100 people in a room to justify the expense. As I said, there was little lime toss and travel and walking and waiting. It worked best with committed knowledge-savvy participants, people who knew what they were looking for. The meetings ended up being very casual, but very intense. They're on target, short duration. People lost faith after 3 hours. For us and for you, one of the issues that we found that was we could share proprietary or confidential documents. We could show them on the screen without transferring them, which took a whole lot of lawyers out of the equation. We work best with knowledgeable audiences. There's little one-to-one explanations because others look focused. There was actually very little lows on this. Nothing will possibly change. We are sure as we see the programs for these education systems come out, this will be the dominant in the future. However, what we do need, and everyone understands, it's intense data and voice transmission. On the next slide is some of the social silver linings, and there are a lot. In this study, no social scientist ever told this would happen. Everyone said it wouldn't. First, everyone is equal. Everyone has the same electronic presence. Shy people, introverted people, people who are normally not used to speaking up, like a lot of women, were not overwhelmed. On the other side, the mute button works. And we could, the courses were balanced. We could hear everyone. We could see each other's opinions. Infrastructure needs, except for computing, are minimal. We don't need fancy buildings, fancy offices. And we saved on both transportation and on time. That is the commute time. So we actually could do a lot more. And we started reusing existing classroom space. The biggest strength, and this some of the speakers have talked about, is the learning and teaching at irregular students. This university system is wonderful for regular students who come for 3 or 4 years. Most of the students are on an irregular schedule. They are coming for a course for a few weeks. Particularly for the working part-time student, they could do it at their own pace, at their own understanding. We could do, other students we could do was one-on-one tutoring and study groups, which are hard to do in the regular university. But with online, this was very easy. This was the preferred way to do it. One-on-one tutoring study groups where actually teach a student is going to get done electronically. I am confident. The lows, how do you test learning? Is attendance enough? We never have figured out a very good way of testing the learning. I'm sure there are, but we haven't figured it out or we haven't implemented it, but we've come a long, long way. I'll end this thing on the next slide with where I see all of this. And Professor Ramaswamy talked of silver linings, and I love Does It Herald a Sunrise? It's higher education. So if you look at it very dispassionately, distant education, that is Zoom-based education or Teams, it is resource, that is buildings, facilities, that is staff, and teacher efficient. You can teach a lot of people worldwide in the country, in a different region with very little resources. Fast reach. You have uniform standards and content. You design it that way. It scales down easily. When it scales up to thousands of students, it's just as good as a classroom. But it's scaling down at the level of 1 to 10 students. It is wonderful. It works for the majority of students who are part-time students. There is a very low economic cost. And one of the speakers, the student, talked about it. The time for travel, for tuition, for time, it's enormous. There's a huge multiplier effect, which we fail to see. But for India, there's a bigger cost. And this is what do I need to educate the young Indians? The left-hand side is the traditional model of Columbia University in the heart of New York. It is education in the rest of the world is enormously expensive. You have no idea how expensive it is. If you dig through the numbers, this is what a single Columbia University costs. $80 billion investment spread over 250 years. They're still building. It hasn't finished. The Chinese C9 universities go in the same direction. They're probably halfway there, maybe a third of the way there. They're still building. Their output is very low. If you think of it in how much does $80 billion investment do, it's about 1,700, 1,900 undergraduates a year, not very large. These numbers, if you multiply the numbers by the number of universities need in India, these numbers are several times the GDP of India. The other side is probably the less traditional, the offline education, the distant education. And it's a laptop, that's your tool, the person, and a Wi-Fi link. And those things are coming. Starlink is one of those things that's one of the several services that will come on, which gives you high-speed internet coming into your laptop. Is it cost, time, and output efficient? Does it address India's needs? There are a lot of deficiencies, and I've tried not to hide them. The question is, do you educate people? But I think the bigger question, I'll leave you at this, is for India. How do you try it out? How do we educate 20% of the high school graduates into quality higher education? That's my number, not 1%, 20%. And I'll close it at that. This is a period of major change in Indian education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sudhin. I think you have put your own perspective on it, and it is also nice to see so much resonance with what others have said. Others who've experienced the pandemic here and who are seeing things over here. One thing that I would like to highlight in what you said, more than others, at least to start with, is the fact that prioritization is important. We've got to figure out what we want.
Yes.
And that sometimes is not been very clear from a policy point of view. Of course, we did realize that people, you see, sometimes in India it goes by people have to get their degrees, people have to finish a degree. That's not the point. Education is important, research is important, and we need to emphasize the primacy of that goal. As we achieve those goals, we may get your gross enrollment ratio to go up to 50%. You may get, you may get whatever else it is that comes along with it. But we must reaffirm the importance of research and teaching at this time. And you've suggested that the way out for India is not to invest in buildings or in square foot real estate, but to invest more in data
Education.
And delivery.
Yes.
You see, it's important to deliver because in India, like everywhere in the world, a single teacher can, of course, reach a large number of students, but a single teacher cannot reach everybody. The diversity has to be addressed by having a diverse group of teachers as well who have been educated and so on. So interesting things for us to think about. Thank you for sharing your views.
Let me add one item for the audience, and please, can you give me about 5-10 seconds?
Sure.
Where I see a lot of these things, I've always predictions and I get myself caught in things. I see the tech-savvy universities in the world, and these are by and large mostly Americans. They have the content, they don't have the students. India has the students and they have the policy issues.
Yes.
And content issues.
Yes.
And I see the confluence that large American universities will be able to ride on increased access to students and increase the content level dramatically. That was what I see in the next 24 months.
Yeah.
It's a starting prediction, but I see where the economics are going and where people are going, and I believe that's what will happen. If Facebook and Amazon can come in, so can MIT.
And if people have their ways, they will be here. They are already here. But
Yes.
Sudhin, more importantly, and I think that all of us actually do realize it, is that the bulk of Indian students are going to be first-generation learners. And a very large percentage of them are also going to be the first generation in their family to be literate. So we have additional challenges. It's not easy to go from zero learning and zero literacy to very advanced platforms immediately. But but we need to address some of these issues. I noticed that there are educationists and other people who have thought about some of these issues in the, here on our Zoom platform. So I just want to throw the floor open and invite anybody to comment if they would like to. So please feel free to, to comment, not necessarily to ask a question, but to give your own take on the silver linings of the pandemic and the move to online teaching.
So I just had an observation regarding what Professor Saroj was saying about the feedback being much better for the online mode, the student feedback. And I felt, after talking to my students, that the students seem to have an understanding about the difficulties that the teachers are going through to ensure that they have a continued learning. And that seems to make a lot of difference. So I think this, better feedback also comes from a sensitivity from the student side that yes, our teachers are learning and struggling to teach us. So I don't think it's just the feedback for the course itself as much as it's for the people who are teaching.
Interesting. That could be very well. I mean, thanks for pointing out. As I said, we still don't understand. And when the students come back and we'll repeat that, the same students, some of the students are the first timer students, right? So we'll repeat that when they come back online. But that's an interesting point, and could be because everybody is empathic to each other and so on. The other thing also that, maybe the students don't have to have too much distractions at certain point, but we don't know really, but that's an interesting point. Thank you.
Ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. That was very interesting. I especially was impressed by Saroj Nayak and what the Odisha, what the Bhubaneswar IIT is doing. But I heard of a very interesting, my students, a lot of them faced network problems because they are in tribal districts of Odisha. Actually, they are from tribal districts of Odisha. And I read somewhere that somewhere in the United States, in the rural areas, they are sending school buses with Wi-Fi hotspots to a village, to the rural areas of the United States, is what I read. But I thought that was such a good idea for us to send, buses with Wi-Fi hotspots to rural areas so that so the students have a chance to access the internet. Because
solar power also.
Yeah, because with solar power also. Because one of the biggest challenges is accessibility to the internet that you see in rural areas where some of our students are from. But I also saw a lot more gender equity in the class during this pandemic, because in class, usually when I teach one-on-one, the boys are more vocal, but online it seems to be that there is no gender difference. Actually, the people feel empowered to talk and speak and ask questions, and I was quite.
Yeah, that is our experience too. It is not just gender equality; it is racial equality. I deal with people in the United States, and I deal with people in China, in Asia, and there is a difference in the way people approach a question or a comment, and it is quite dramatic. It is very, very noticeable, and we see that all the time. You were talking about school buses. That is school Wi-Fi network accessibly high speed is the big issue, and a lot of things that have been done in this country will percolate into India very fast. That is the market. That is where
circulating the other way around, Sudhin, because let me just invite Gautam Shroff from TCS to say a few words. But before that, my lead-in comment is that when Thomas Friedman wrote his, the world is flat, I don't think he quite understood how true it was going to be. Now, not only is the world flat, the world is Zoom. Gautam, I see a huge opportunity here for TCS to do something good. To not be evil, of course, but also to, perhaps send out, connected buses all through rural India. What's your take?
Yeah, so I think let me speak from our experience. And as far as the world is flat, well, I think, Sudhin realizes that time zones don't go away just because the world is flat. So that still remains. It's round because people have to sleep. But, jokes apart, so work from home from us, in a space of 4 weeks, 450,000 people in the company started working from home. And for the first few months, there was a lot of caution, a lot of worry. Ultimately, we don't get. Whatever we earn it from our customers, and unless they spend, we're not going to get paid. So we were cautious. The customers were cautious, and then around July, August, things started looking up. Business started growing. Sales started growing. So it's not just teaching and execution and delivery. We were selling new deals online, and the numbers the last quarter clearly showed are very clear. The numbers don't lie. They're hard numbers. That there's significant growth opportunity because of the increased importance of technology to all organizations, the Fortune 1000 companies in particular. Secondly, for us, think about it. We suddenly moved to a situation where everybody's working from home, we talk about cloud computing, but now there's a talent cloud. So when we have to staff a project, we don't now worry about where the guy is. We don't say we will give this project to Delhi or Chennai. We'll execute this project. It doesn't matter where they are at all. When you allocate new people to a group which they have to work with, we don't care where they live. Not talking about new people, we hired about 25,000 people into the company last year. They have never seen an office, a TCS office. And it's a lot of effort is going in from the HR perspective of keeping them engaged. I took in 150 people in research last year, including about 10 PhDs. And they're doing well. And I talk to them regularly, and they're connected. They got to meet people. They're friendly. It's a very big surprise. And like from coming back to what Ram said in terms of the future, the opportunity is, I used to spend 2 hours on the road every day. I don't spend that time. Now I ask the question with the pollution in Delhi. I may not move, but others are asking the question. Some people I know have already said, I don't want to live in Delhi. I'll go somewhere else, somewhere with less polluted. Now, what does that mean for the country? Maybe the hinterland will get better incomes when they're working for big companies. And then we'll move the buses and the wireless and etc. anyway, because we have to get them to work, because anyway, we have to get them productive. So it's in our own self-interest. And we might be able to hire them for a net income that they'll take home, which is much higher than they would in a city like Delhi or Bombay, where they're anyway spending so much. So there's going to be some sustainability advantages when the IT industry realizes this and we all move to the hinterland. Technology will catch up there, incomes will catch up, trickle down will happen. There'll be more malls than we probably want, because we'll have all the new guys spending the money. And so there'll be good things from this.
So there is a counter question that's coming up from the YouTube chat. I think this is for the teachers.
Yeah.
While it might be good for technology and for the future of technology, isn't socialization a very important part of schooling? Yeah. And will this entire process of online teaching replace teachers with technology?
So I'll finish in 1 second, then others can answer this question. So yes, in terms of socialization, what do we do when offices reopen? That's the question we are faced with. We are not going to go back to the way we are. We announced that it's going to be 25% of the time, 25% of the people are going to be in office. It's very clear. So there are no new office spaces. The office where I work to has been shut down. Okay. What do? I'm setting up a new office within IIT Delhi. a new lab. What do I do? How do I organize it? Do I make it the same way, or do I make it only for collaboration? Or do I keep some space for people who have a very noisy home, very crowded home, and they need a place to go and work? So we have to think about how we're going to organize the blended future. And the same thing holds for conferences. I attended 2 conferences last year. I heard my co-authors speak. I never did used to do that. I didn't used to get on the plane and fly. So this has started to happen. And I'll just end with one point to Saroj. I mean, I am also teaching a course as an adjunct, and it actually is being listed across 3 institutes: IIT Delhi, IIIT Delhi, and BITS Goa, and total about 80 or 90 students across all of them. It's an advanced sort of graduate course. But it's possible now. The biggest problem was timing. Who has their exams when, and which the timetables match. But I think we can sort that out with a bit of optimization, and a little bit of smart computer science. The labs have suffered. So we have robotics labs. We have, wet labs in life sciences. We have wet labs in material sciences. That has suffered a lot. And though people have taken permission to go to office, earlier you need permission to go work from home. Now you need permission to go to office. That's the way it is. They take permission, they make sure there are only 3 or 4 people around, and they go and work in the lab and get the experiments done. That will have to be supported by all kinds of technology. We're working on robotic technology to support that. So I'll end with just one comment. We need to also think about PhDs. Do we need to have PhDs? Can we have PhDs which are jointly supervised across geographies and even across time zones? And what might that do to improve overall collaboration and overall quality across all our institutes as well? I think that's a question I think we need to think about. I'll stop there. Thank you.
I'll go one better, Gautam. Do we need PhDs? I think that the importance of research is something that I'm willing to endorse, and this is what I appreciated in what Sudhin said. Our objectives should be clear. We want research. Does the PhD degree, or will the PhD degree as a degree carry as much importance as it has in the past? I'm not very clear about it because usually degrees are useful when they enable you to do something. And the world after, in another few years, it's not entirely clear to me that a PhD per se is going to enable you. I think having done research is certainly going to enable you. So we're going to maybe see something a little different. But, I'd like to take Saroj's view on the point of will tech replace teachers? What Madhurima asked you.
Right.
Saw you nodding away over there.
Yeah, no, so I think that the question was there for all of the teachers, and I'll just tell you my 2 cents on that. As I pointed out, I don't think it's going to completely replace. So it's not one size fits all. There are certain courses, as I said, when we're back to the normal, it should go online purely, in my opinion. There are certain things, as all of us, Gautam was pointing out, the labs and so on, and the social interactions, and it has to be there. So I am not seeing something, saying that we'll go 75% or so online. And the other point, Gautam, in fact, we have a system where one of my students is co-advised by one of my former students at New York. He is in IBM. And interestingly, what you said about the robots, and he's an experimentalist. And I asked him on a video call like this, saying that, when are you going back to your work? He said, no, until June this year. I said, so the experiments? He said, no, the robots are working. So he has not gone to the lab since last March. He's not going to go to the June. And what he told that the experiments are still going on in New York. So I think these are the things that it's coming, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see. And I think in a way, as we have been pointing out, I think Bindu pointed out that, the buses and all these things, these are opportunity. And Gautam, just 1 second, what Gautam said. We are already seeing in the villages, because our startup works mostly in the rural areas, the people who have come back from Gujarat and other places doing, some jobs, they're not going back. They found better quality of life, better opportunity, and so on. So it's already happening since, last year or so.
And also,
I'll
I think
stop
you
there.
need to think in education that you're not merely giving an education for the sake of the education. 90% of the people or 98% will probably go and do a job which is not research, and they will be doing virtual work quite a lot in the going forward, because unfortunately this thing is unlikely to disappear completely for some time now. So getting them equipped in this mode of working is also an education.
True. Would Uma, if you're still there, I don't know, this question of, will technology replace teachers? Would you like to respond to that?
Well, I think teachers will be there, but I think one of the presenters mentioned that as perhaps facilitator and mentor. And that's how we will be looking forward to. And I think as faculty, we need to change also, prepare ourselves accordingly. That's exactly what is happening. And we need to have, like upgrade ourselves with the tools that are available. Uh, upgrade ourselves with the methodology and technology that are to be there, and how we connect with our learners using different platforms. That's the thing that we will be doing in future.
I think you can go back to 2012. I was probably the first person from India, even though I was not really in full-time faculty. I was only adjunct. I authored and ran a course on Coursera, and on 3 sessions, 100,000 students. It didn't replace teaching. It just hasn't. It's been 10 years almost. So I think we're probably looking at the UK model, where there's the class, the sort of lecture given by the big professor, Ramaswamy, giving a professor lecture to 1,000 students or 500 or 10,000, who knows. And there's a tutor in the college helping the student. And the tutor used to help across all subjects in Cambridge and Oxford, not just one subject. So it used to be multifaceted tutor, or maybe a tutor for science students, a tutor for art students. But he used to not be, I'll only teach my course. He'll tutor students on all courses. I think that's the future.
Well, Gautam, just to sort of small correction over here, Ramaswamy is a tutor for course Chem 101 at IIT. So I'm quite happy to do that. Let's, winding down today's discussion, because, it is getting close on 5 o'clock. Is there any other point that one would like to make? Vimal, Kishorji, Rishikaa?
Yes, sir. Regarding this, sir, technology can maybe that teacher may be no need for their teachers this technology. But the thing is that I have also mentioned in my presentation earlier that there are 3 domains of learning, that is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So the cognitive is good with the online teaching when we are going on, and the psychomotor, as the robots are doing so much. But the thing is that the middle one is the affective domain of learning, that is related with our emotions, beliefs, attitudes, and empathy, sympathy. Everything is there. So these may be developed by only with the help of the teacher. So teacher is there must in the our teaching learning process, when we have to develop all these things, because nowadays what is happening, if you see. If you see in a practical way, that some of the things are the books are there, just like moral education or things. These books are not taught in the very beginning to be the people, because these are not, everybody said the values are taught, but values are caught but not taught. So thing is that these things are only when we have a physical that classroom system is there. So a teacher is almost there, because his teacher plays a role of a facilitator, just like madam has said, and I already pointed out that. So role of the teacher is also very essential, because the robot is there just like a machinery. Whatever we are filling in them, he is doing the same thing. But the teacher is there, how to interact in different situations. That is the part of the teacher.
So that is, I think, in a sense, true that in the online is very efficient, like Sudhin that I was pointing out. But then classroom is much more than just efficiency in terms of hours and numbers, and the interactions become crucial.
Some of this is certainly because we don't want to become redundant. We are trying to ensure that our jobs, having retired, I am in a very happy position. But but those of you who are still in service, I think you better learn. No, so let me just close this discussion first by thanking all of you for being here today. It's the 12th meeting, and as my colleague from JNU, Professor Devashish Ghoshal points out, everything has been said before. But there is actually nothing new under the sun, and that was said before by Shakespeare or somebody like that. So, okay, so no claims on originality here. But Devashish also had another point to make, which, since he is not speaking, I shall speak for him. He points out that students and teachers have adapted and learned the hard way. We were thrown into the water. I think Raksha said that, like a parent who threw children into the water to teach them how to swim, we threw all our students into online mode and said, well, we hope you can learn. But the people who haven't actually learned that online is a different world, it takes a lot of effort, are the administrators and the policymakers. People just assume that because you have quote unquote held an exam or held a lecture, that the syllabus has been covered or that everything is fine. I think that we really need to now sit and educate the policymakers and say that, look, stop all your regulations. This new education policy, you wrote it 4 years ago, 3 years ago. The world has changed. And by demanding that what was there in the new education policy should go on unchanged, I think it is not only wrong, it is also unrealistic and unfair. The world has changed so much in the last 1 year that everybody has to turn around and take a good, strong look at ourselves. And so on that note, that our policy people and our administrators, they better get back to school, online mode only. We want to be socially and physically distant from them, but we'd like to, we do need them all to be aware and alert about this. Okay, so thank you all for sharing.
Thank you.
Let's see if we'll be back with another edition of the panel discussion of DFOT. Good night and good morning, good
Bye.
evening, good whatever time it is. The world is flat, but as Gautam has pointed out, it doesn't have the same time zones.
That's okay.